your mind. And he says that I will not tell you to do these things that are difficult. I will not tell you to carry anything that is too heavy for you. So the things that God tells you to do are not the difficult things, and he won't give you a burden or a load that is heavy for you to carry. So God makes me to lie down in green pastures. Sometimes a shepherd would break the leg of a stubborn sheep, not because he hates the sheep or he wants to punish the sheep, no, but because he loves the sheep and he wants to teach the sheep to listen to his voice and to trust him. The sheep needs to know the voice of the shepherd. So he would break the leg so that he may teach the sheep his voice, and the sheep may be familiar to his voice, so that the sheep may be able to listen and obey to the voice, and also to make it close to the rest of the flock, because sometimes this sheep would wander astray, and move around, go in a different direction. When the sheep says we are going this way, the sheep would go in a different direction, or the sheep would often go astray. So the sheep would break its leg so that it may stay close with the rest of the flock, because it cannot wander around all the time. It cannot be alone, it cannot be isolated. We need to be together, as a group. So the shepherd would break it, and after breaking the leg, what the shepherd would do is that he would tend the sheep, he would nurse the sheep, and bond with the sheep, create a bond with the sheep, have that relationship with the sheep, so that the sheep can learn to trust him, so that the sheep can depend again on the shepherd. God wants us to depend on him, so he wants this sheep to depend on him, the sheep to trust him, the sheep to know his voice and to listen to his voice. And sometimes, I believe that God needs to break us, so that we may rely on him instead of relying on other stuffs. He needs to break us so that we may fully rely on him, depend on him, and not depend on our skills, our monies, our talents, our social networks and whatsoever. But he wants us to fully depend on him. And sometimes God will break us so that we may have time with him, because we are living in a very busy world. We are very busy with our own stuff, we have our thing going on. But whenever we are broken, we have no time to be busy, because our leg is hurting, we cannot go here and there and do this and that. But the only thing that we can do is to just sit down with God, and have a communion with him. So sometimes God will break us because he wants our attention. He wants us to have a bond with him, have a communion with him. But you do not have to wait for God to break you so that you can trust him. You don't have to wait for God to break you and make everything around you to stop so that he can get your attention, or so that you may go into his presence, and so that you can depend on him or whatsoever. You can do it just now. You can choose to obey him, choose to listen to him, choose to bond with him. Do it willingly. Don't wait for him to remove all the distractions so that he may get your attention. You can just do that on your own. All you need to do is to just surrender everything, submit everything, submit your plans, your time, everything, surrender all of you unto him, and have him to be your shepherd, have him to be your Lord, have him to lead you and direct you and have his way in you. God wants us to trust him, God wants us to understand him, God wants us to depend on him, he wants us to know his voice. God wants us to surrender everything unto him, to submit everything unto him, to trust him, depend on him, rely on him, obey him, do his word. And let us not act like the stubborn sheep that needs to be disciplined all the time. God doesn't need to break your leg. You can willingly yield to him, trust him, rely on him, depend on him, listen and obey. Don't be a stubborn sheep that needs to be disciplined all the time. Don't be that person that needs to be disciplined all the time. Just obey do it willingly. And the verse, as it continues, it says that he leads me beside the still waters. He's the one who leads me beside the still waters, meaning he knows where we are going. He's the one who guides and directs the sheep to the still waters. He knows the place of the still waters. He knows where the still waters is, and he is the one who leads me. The sheep follow him, and he is the one who takes now we need to let go of control and have him have control over everything. We need to let go of control so that he might have control. We need to surrender all to him, surrender every aspect of our life unto him and follow him, do his word and be still and know that he is God and he's in control. We need to follow Jesus and follow Jesus only. If there is someone that we need to follow, it is Jesus. We don't have to follow those people on Instagram. We don't have to follow the podcast or the books that we read or that favorite pastor of yours that has hot bar lines, or sermons that you listen to, or the movies you watch, or people or advices that you get, or whatsoever things that you guys follow. We do not have to follow those things. The only person that we need to follow is Jesus. Let us follow Jesus, follow his examples, imitate him, do what he do, and just follow him. Have him have control, have him to be our leader. And he says that he leads me beside the still waters. Still waters is a place of peace, divine provision, a place of refreshment. When you are tired and when you are thirsty and you drink cold water, you get like refreshed. So still waters is a place of refreshment and spiritual renewal. So the Lord leads me beside the quiet waters. He leads me beside a peaceful place. He leads me beside a calm place. So the Lord can calm you down, and he can give you peace, and he can also give you rest. He says in the book of John 14 that peace I live with you, I give you peace, and this peace that I give unto you is not the peace that the world gives. It's not the peace that is like the one of the world. He says that he gives us peace, and the peace that he gives us is not the peace that is like the world. Now the peace that comes from the world, or the peace that the world gives unto us, is the peace that depends on circumstances. Whenever things are okay, whenever things that are cool, when you receive good news and stuff like that, that's when the world gives you peace. The peace of the world cannot coexist with difficult circumstances and stuff like that. So the peace that comes from God is not circumstantial. It does not depend on your circumstances, what you have, what you do not have. It does not depend on your surroundings and your current situation. The book of Philippians 4 chapter 7, it says that, and the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guide your heart and your minds through Jesus Christ. Colossians 3 verse 15, it says that, let the peace of God rule in your heart, to which you were called in one body, and be thankful. So we need to allow this peace of God to rule and have control in our hearts and in our mind. So yeah, that's the verse of the day. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Allow God to lead you beside the still waters. Allow him to lead you to the green pastures, to the abundance of provision. Allow him to lead you to green pastures. Allow him to lead you to a place of abundance provision. Allow him to lead you to a peaceful place. Allow him to lead you to his place of rest. Allow him to make you to lie down. Allow him to lead you. Remember that you do not lead yourself, and you are not the leader here. You are just a follower. Allow him to lead you. Allow him to have control. Allow him to provide for you. Allow him to love you. Allow him to be your God. Allow him to be your Lord. Allow him to be in control of your life, your situation, and everything around you. Just let God in. Let go of control. Don't want to be in charge of everything. All you need to do is to be at rest, take rest, trust him, depend on him, rely on him, and everything will fall in place. God will take care of anything. Remember that he wants to help you, and not only does he wants to help you, but he is also able to help you. Our God is able, so he is able to help you. He is able to lead you. He is able to help you. Just allow him to have control. Allow him to do what he do. Allow him to be the leader. Allow him to be the head of your life. Allow him to be your shepherd. The Lord today is our shepherd, and I pray that he may be your shepherd, not only today, not only to me, but also to you.